Hey everyone, today I want to share with you my third iteration of a creeper farm, and my knowledge of mob farming has increased quite a bit since the last time I did something like this. So the last time I did something like this was several months ago, and it was my creeper farm V2, or as I called it, the advanced creeper farm. But as you can see right here, this is a completely new layout. This is something that I have not seen in this form before, and it works pretty well. So this is what I would call my creeper farm v3, or the third iteration. And just to be clear, this is not a tutorial, I am merely showcasing the layout, and that is because the 1.16 update should be right around the corner, and we still don't know how the despawning mechanics are. And I mean, we do know how they are, but how they will be in the final release, maybe there are changes to be made, and I don't really think that it is a good idea to make a tutorial if it is at risk of breaking any second. Alright, in itself, this creeper farm actually looks very similar in layout to my previous creeper farms. As you can see, there are two sides, and the player AFKs in the middle, and you get all the gunpowder and experience to you. But the difference, of course, is that you get a hell of a lot more gunpowder. So this one produces 50 stacks of gunpowder per hour on average. But there are some other changes that are not very apparent made to the overall layout as well, and I will walk you through every one of them. So first, let's take a look at the similarities. So for the similarities to the previous creeper farm design of mine, we are using XP delivery trident killers that are killing the creepers and provide a looting effect when you're holding a looting 3 enchanted sword. And you have two sides which have a bunch of spawning spaces crammed in. And on both the designs, we utilize surface spawns on the top layer. Another similarity is that in a 3x2 rectangle, you'll get 3 spawning spaces. And of course, the last similarity is that these are, of course, creeper-only farms, so there will be absolutely no other spawns of any kind. There will only be creepers spawning in that farm. Alright, but that's about where the similarities end, because this layout is completely different, as you can see. Previously it was pretty basic, it was just buttons, solid blocks and trapdoors, but that has changed now. We have introduced some mob farming mechanics that are pretty popular and used a lot, and since my last creeper farm I've made acquaintance to those mechanics, and now I use them properly and made this wonderful layout. Alright, so before anything else, let's get a little familiar with how the creepers spawn. So what will happen when a creeper spawn on a block? So let's say the creeper will spawn on this block right here, which I mark with a smooth stone block. Then what will happen is that the creeper will not spawn in the center of this block right here, but like all other mobs, creepers will try to spawn, or they will spawn in the northwest corner of a block. So we are facing north right here, and the creeper will spawn right here in between those 4 blocks, which is technically the northwest corner of that block. So let's just visualize that. I'm just going to stick a creeper not here, but well between those glass panes, just so that we can see easier that it is going to spawn on the northwest corner of that block. Now the next mechanic that is needed to only allow creeper spawns is that we need to block spider spawns. If we want to block spider spawns, we are going to have at least 2 fences or buttons or some select other blocks surrounding the spawning space. So let's just do that. So we would have either that, a spider couldn't spawn right here, or we would have fences and a spider couldn't spawn here either. We can also have it like this, I believe. A spider wouldn't be able to spawn like this. And what that basically means is that only 2 tall mobs will spawn. But that of course means that zombies, please don't be so loud, zombies will also be able to spawn and not just only creepers. Which of course brings us to the next mechanic, and the next mechanic is that we can make use of trapdoors to only allow creeper spawns, because creepers are 1.8 blocks high, and as you may know, trapdoors are 0.2 blocks thick, and that means that this will only allow creeper spawns, and that way we can block the spider spawns and not allow too tall mobs that are taller than 1.8 blocks. And conveniently, it just so happens that the creepers are not 2 entire blocks tall, but are 1.8 blocks tall, whereas zombies are indeed 2 blocks tall, and as you can see, they will not be able to spawn right under there. Now there is something else that is very important that I realized while making this layout and is essential in this layout as well, and that is that since all mobs, including creepers, spawn in the northwest corner of a block, the trapdoor doesn't necessarily have to be right above where the spawn space itself is. So if you would only want a creeper spawn, you could also have it right here, or you could have it there or there, basically anywhere there. You just have to make sure that it is indeed where the northwest corner would be of the block that the creeper spawns on, and that will basically still block the spider spawns and only allow the creeper spawns. And the last mechanic is that you can place water on top of scaffolding and mobs will still be able to spawn, because scaffolding does not block mob spawns on the block on which they are sitting, and on the other hand, mobs will spawn with their head inside of water all the time. It doesn't really bother them, so yeah, they will just spawn like this, and that means that we can make use of this for something very important, and that is reducing the lifetime of the creepers. And by reducing the lifetime of the creepers, we clear the density cap quicker and we allow more mobs to spawn, and that will result in higher rates, of course. And that is something my previous design suffered from a lot. It is that we only relied on pathfinding for the creepers to fall into the water platforms, and that of course is a little slow. And yeah, if we just have water that pushes the creeper out of the way and to their death, then that's absolutely perfect. So let's take a look at the current design then. So this is the layout that I am using, and as you can see, those quartz blocks, they are all spawnable spaces for the creepers. And the way we have this is that on one block, or well, one stripe, we have the spawnable spaces for the creepers, and on the next we have the fences, which block the spiders, of course. Well, we have them on both sides of one spawning space. We have the fences and we have the trapdoors, and the trapdoors make sure that no too tall mobs such as skeletons or zombies spawn where only the creeper should spawn. And because we are able to relocate the trapdoors to the side, it means that we can freely have the scaffolding and water pushing the creepers away. And this was especially important moving them to the side, because of course we cannot have the water and the trapdoors in the same space. Of course we can waterlock one trapdoor, but the rest needs to be flowing water so that the creepers actually get pushed. And unfortunately, you cannot flowing waterlock trapdoors. There are some blocks in Minecraft Bedrock Edition that can be flowing waterlocked, but I am of course not going to go into detail with that. I am just going to say that, well, you do need air so that you can have water flowing like normal right here. And this layout basically ensures that creepers will spawn with their head in the water, will get pushed by the water, and of course that only creepers spawn and nothing like a spider, a zombie, or a skeleton. Because we need the fences on both sides to block the spiders, we of course have some extra fences on the outside, and we also have extra trapdoors on the outside because we need to make sure that no matter which way this module or these modules are facing, that the northwest side of the creeper will always be under a trapdoor, or basically the spawn attempt, so that nothing else outside of creepers spawn in these spaces. The reason we have open trapdoors here is because we need to make sure that these fences extend to full width. Because if they don't, let's just take the trapdoor away, there is an issue that creepers can actually get stuck here. And if you're saying, well, this is only a problem here, well, not really, because, well, in the other spaces, such as here, for example, if you wouldn't have these blocks right here, they would also just get stuck on the trapdoors, which are on the layers below them. Speaking of which, these blocks are not supposed to be here. I have no idea where there's blocks here. I think that's because of an earlier prototype I had. But yeah, those are not meant to be here. That's the basics of the layout itself. Now there is a little other detail about this farm, and that is that we have a total of 8 layers, and every 4 layers we switch it 1 block to the side. Now the reason of that is that mob spawning works vertically in Bedrock Edition. So the way it works is that a random X and Z coordinate will be selected. So a horizontal spot, let's say that this block right here would get selected. Then what the game will do, it will check from the top of the world to the bottom of the world on that block right here, so on that height, if there are spawnable spaces, and will attempt to spawn mobs in a column. And because the algorithm works this way, it will be better if we have it shifted like this. By shifting the layers at half height, we just make sure that the spawn check will not fail half the time when it's attempting to spawn from the top down, because this way we don't have any gaps in spawning spaces right here. Of course, if you had them all in one column, you would get more mobs in one go, but that is not actually a good thing. And that, of course, is that the density cap will be filled at once, and then the creepers will have to get killed first before new ones get spawned. Whereas with this, the density cap won't get filled at once, or there isn't a chance that it will get filled at once, and the creepers have time to get killed. And while they get killed, there still is a chance for more creepers to spawn elsewhere. And this is a good thing, because otherwise there would be a time window in which the density cap is full, and well, it would just fail trying to spawn more mobs. The next major improvement is actually something that I learned from DrJanCyan, and to be specific, his mob farm, and that is that we can make use of split density checks to effectively increase rates when using 2 modules on opposite sides like this. So if you are a little confused, let me explain. The basic idea is that we have 4 chunks in between these modules. And the reason for that is that the density check for a mob is 9 × 9 chunks. Still confused? Well, the basic idea is that we can just assume this is 1 chunk, and when a mob will spawn in here, or will attempt to spawn in here, it will check an area of 9 × 9 chunks around the chunk in which the spawn attempt is being made. So this 9 × 9 area is of course a square, and it will look just like this. And the basic, okay, that's a little too short. And the basic idea is that we just place the opposing side on the outside of that check. And of course there will be this intersecting area, which I have represented right here. The density checks will intersect right here, but the important part is that the red density check will not count the mobs that are in these yellow chunks. We can just say that this is the red side right here. These spawning spaces are all in the red chunks, and because these spawning spaces are far enough away, they will not be counted by the density checks made on this side of the module. And this is good because this effectively allows more mobs to be alive at once. Yet another improvement is the roof we are using to make these spawning spaces darker. So we can just do effect at as clear, and as you can see, it is indeed dark under this roof right here. And the reason being that we are using a property of water that basically lowers the light levels each time it gets further, and this way we will be able to trigger surface spawns on daytime, and it will still be dark, of course. And it does not make use of a mechanic we had previously in 1.14, and the last we've seen of it is 1.14, of course, and that is that you could transfer surface spawns through solid blocks by having something like a slab or a carpet on top. So if we had something like this, basically the mob spawning algorithm would go from top to bottom, and it would collide with the slab, and the next thing it would do is just transfer the surface spawn to the next available space, and that way we could have surface spawns and still have it in a dark space, so basically trigger hostile surface spawns on daytime. The mechanic of transferring surface spawns through solid blocks, however, is only patched in the 1.16 update, so while this farm is technically in 1.14 and there are some other changes that affect the rates of this farm in 1.16, it is still gonna work, but with a reduced rates in 1.16, and this is just made for more compatibility, because, well, if I can do it, might as well, right? Oh, and one more change made in comparison to the last creeper farm is that the tridents in the triangulars are enchanted with Impaling 5, and that will mean that all the creepers will die one hit instant kill, and that of course in itself is an improvement in creeper lifetime. It will be lower because they of course get killed instantly. And well, it means they won't jump around as much in the water. As you can see, they are just going whoosh. And that of course is a good thing for this farm. So that's about it. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend building this in survival as of the release of this video, because it is still unclear how things will turn out to be in the 1.16 update, because the 1.16 despawn system, when the simulation distance is set to 4, is problematic for all kinds of mob farms, including this one. And well, apart from that, I hope you thought this cool. If you do want more stuff like this, well, then subscribe. And of course, there's a world download in the description. And well, I think that is all I have to say. Thank you very much for watching, and see you around. Bye!